chance to do my live I typically do that's educational. I had to go to San Diego VA Medical Center. I've got accepted for my veterans medical care, and I was waiting in line, or waiting in this waiting room, and there was a really important thing that happened. It might have seemed insignificant to others, but it really provided a really interesting thought in my mind. I've been listening to The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer for, I think, the second time, and every time I listen to these type of books, I just find such a shift of my spirit changing. Like, I feel like I'm just finding what life is really about and understanding that every moment has a message. So I really I'm considering doing every day, taking a moment from my own life and sharing with you how I'm finding the message in the moment about how to live life more deeply present, in finding the joy and the peace and happiness that is absolutely available to us at every moment, regardless of what we're dealing with. But today I want to share with you that story. So I'm waiting. There's, several people in the waiting room. It's around 2 p.m. and they're calling different numbers. You have to get a little number. Sometimes you have an appointment. Sometimes you're just a walk-in. I was just a walk-in. And there was all sorts of vets, myself included, younger, older, some were much older. And what was interesting, there was a gentleman, just one gentleman working the front counter, and he called a number. And nobody came. But then another gentleman just walked into the waiting room, and he seemed a bit confused. So he went up to the gentleman at the counter and said, "Oh, how does this work? How do I get help?" He goes, "Oh, go to that little machine over there and get a number." So he went over to try to use the machine, and the machine wasn't working. And so that had the gentleman's at the counter's attention. So he said, "Oh, well, just come over here. Maybe I can help you real quick." And all he needed to get done was to get a picture for his ID. And that was it. That's all. I mean, I'm kind of listening in, so I'm overhearing this. And what was interesting was suddenly, and this gentleman's being helped, another older gentleman stood up and was very upset. And he walks over and he goes, "You realize there's several of us that have been waiting here for a really long time that haven't had our number called, and you just let someone come in who's just been here and just get help without getting a number? How is that right?" And the poor gentleman behind the counter is like, "Sir, we'll get to you in just a moment. You just had a quick question. I'm sorry. Please go sit down." And the gentleman just sat down, but he was mumbling something. And you could really see, as I'm sitting across the waiting area, I'm just observing this whole thing, realize, and I'm watching this man's face and his body and his demeanor, and he's just almost trembling because he's so angry. By the way, I'm sitting in the grocery store. I'm about to go get some more greens for my morning smoothie. But I really felt compelled to share this with you guys. But so he's sitting there with this, and there's fire trucks coming. I don't know what the message is here, but that's what the red light is flashing on my face. So here's this gentleman sitting in this waiting room, shaking because someone allowed someone else, and he felt like he's been deprived of something because his turn has come and gone or whatever. And this gentleman's number was like the next one up. So, I mean, he's just furious, just sitting there, you could literally probably see steam coming off his head. So within, 3 minutes, there's this gentleman's is fine. So remember, this gentleman just came in and asked a question, was asking for help. So then this guy come over here and starts getting upset. He goes to sit down. But what's interesting was I want to pay attention to the man who left. So the man got helped, and he starts walking out, and he is beside himself now. And as he's walking out, there's a lady sitting. I don't know if he knew her. There's a lady sitting here, and he starts telling her about the situation and starts cussing himself. He just came in and asked for help, and now he's leaving in a very perturbed manner and, just saying loud enough that this other man could probably hear him. And I'm just watching this whole interaction going, what is going on here, right? Like, why? Because we get so caught up in our emotions. We feel like, this small event is going to allow to us to take over and just ruin our day. Do we forget we are little humans on this planet spinning in the middle of the universe? Does it really matter what is going on because someone got ahead of you in a line? It just blew my mind. And I'm sitting here, and I'm pretty sure it's because I have Michael Singer bouncing around in my head. And I'm sitting back and observing my own self. How am I feeling? How would I have reacted before? Maybe I would have sided with the gentleman who got upset because he was waiting for so long. Or maybe I would have been upset because he made such a big deal or someone else. So anyway, I'm thinking to myself, going, how interesting to observe just the same emotions in my own body, but then to observe how one person's energy affected not only this other gentleman who was getting helped, but everyone around him. And then what was really interesting, this gentleman's turn came up and he refused to sit down. He goes, and the guy behind the counter smiled and he goes, and the guy that was perturbed earlier, he goes, I'm not going to smile at you and don't you smile at me. But the response from the guy behind the counter was brilliant. He goes, sir, today we're not going to escalate. How can I help you? Please have a seat. And he sat down and it just diffused the whole situation, or at least to the point that the man could be helped. And I'm sitting here going, this is absolutely brilliant. Well, then guess what happens? So I'm waiting for my turn. I'm the next number. And lo and behold, someone walks in who had already left, missed their number from like probably an hour before I even got there, because it was like a really early number. And before the guy could call my number, he goes like, hey, has this number already been called? He goes, yes, sir, I'm sorry, but that number's already been called. He goes, here, but let me help you. And I was like, this is amazing. So here I get to sit and be the person that was, could I have a choice? Could I be perturbed? Could I be getting up and say, excuse me, my number's next? No. Instead, I just sat back and going, how interesting that life is unfolding, that I also get to experience what that other man had, and I have a choice now because I'm sitting back and observing the moment instead of reacting to the moment. I'm observing it, allowing it to just kind of pass through me, and as I sit there, then I can make a clear choice of how I want to be. How do I want to react in this world? And I knew that when I went up, and it was my turn, I was going to be the most thankful, delightful, grateful human. Because I can only imagine, it's kind of like the people who work at the DMV. They must get the worst, reactions from people. Anyway, what was interesting after this, though, the gentleman who was helping people behind the counter, he goes, I need a break. He was telling his coworker, someone else, he goes, I can't keep going. So he walks off, and so then no one's there to even call my number. And then a lady comes out a little bit before that, and she goes, must be working behind. She's like, she comes out and talks to all of us in there, and she goes, I'm really stressed out right now. I'm going to the chapel, but y'all may not even want to stay here. It's a much longer wait. Maybe you can take care of all your issues online, but just to know that you may not even be helped today. And I was like, well, that's okay. I drove half an hour. I'm okay to wait. And she goes, she was so stressed. I don't know what happened with her, but she's like, I'm going to go to the chapel now. I just need help. I just need to go. I'm like, okay. So I'm just sitting here observing all of these interactions with these people, just utterly mesmerized by what's occurring in this one little tiny space in this big old earth that's in this big old universe, thinking, thank you so much for this message in this moment. What can we learn? So my question to you is, do you allow your emotions to carry you away and ruin your day? But I would say this is the other part too, is maybe you cling to a really happy moment, and then when it fades away, you get sad and you try to make it even, keep clinging to it even more. This really is the same coin, but two sides. Yeah. So what if we just step back and allow it, enjoy it in the moment, but give ourselves space so we can speak clearly, so we can take an action if needed. Maybe we choose not to, but we just flow with it. Because the event's already happened. The reality is it's here. It's there. Why why fight reality? Why get upset about it? It is what it is. I know it seems so cliche, but it really is profound truth. Anyway, I decided to share this with you guys because there is literally a message for each of us in every single moment that is occurring. And like there was before I went on one, I'm like, I'm sitting here with all these people walking around. I'm sure they think I'm nuts, but that's okay. So I had this inner feeling of almost hesitancy to share this with you, but because of my, I don't know, concern for what people are thinking about me, I don't really care. And that was great. That was a message in the moment. Yeah. So there's that. So please comment below, what is your message in your moments? I would love to learn from you, because the more we learn from each other, it's going to make our moments even more enriched and more beautiful and more precious, because you don't get another message in another moment because that moment has passed. So every single day it's unfolding. Every single day is an opportunity to learn wisdom and joy and love and be present and just be happy with whatever life's unfolding for you, even if it's not the best circumstances, or even if you're maybe have emotions of pain or loss. But what a beautiful thing that you get to experience it before we die, because death literally could be a breath away for any of us. So there's that, guys. I wish you well. Sending you gratitude and joy and love and healing and happiness for all of you. And I hope you find your message in your moment, because boy, I sure had a really good one today. All right. Blessings.